Oh, I should mention before I start this whole video, which I've actually already recorded, but I'm putting this at the beginning of the video. If you got an old house that you'd like to investigate and see what's in the ground, you can send me a message, or if you know me personally, send me an email or a phone call. We'll come out and dig. I don't really mind having a little fun digging yards. That's what I do. I like doing that. Um, it's not about, you know, finding super valuable things or something like that and getting rich or whatever. It's just having some fun, getting outside. And we had one this year. There's a silver coin we found at a house near us, and that one, I immediately gave it to owner, said, here, you can give this to your grandkids and everything, and gave them a little thing to put the silver coin in, a little holder for it, like these here. And it's just all about, you know, having some fun, getting out, doing stuff, seeing what surprising, interesting things are in the ground. Um, One of the things I found in my house last year was a pool token for Silver Lake Pool here in Rochester, and I donated that to the Olmsted Historical Society because didn't mean a lot to me since I'm not from the area, but I thought it might be an interesting thing. It wasn't really old, it's probably from the 60s or 70s, but they did accept it into their collection after a committee meeting and everything, so that's kind of cool. Um, though if we do find something that's a, you know, buried treasure or something, you know, worth hundreds of dollars, we might have to talk about a finder's fee then, find, you know, diamond necklace or something like that, then there might be some stuff we'll have to discuss. But yeah, otherwise I don't really care. All right, so here's the rest of the video. All right, this is the 2017 metal detecting kind of finds recap. I've got everything out here. I'm really bad about going through this stuff as I get it. This has all been sitting in boxes and bags since last year at different points during the year. If you remember, there was a house the year before 2016 where we got the Mercury dime. That was Maquoketa, Iowa, an old house built pre-1900. Went back there again at least 4 or 5 times in 2017. Went to another old farmhouse that's 1900s era and before in Iowa. That one's both of them are kind of actually family houses, parts of my different sides of my family. Then we also went to an old farmhouse in Zumbrota, Minnesota, that was going up for auction. Got permission to go there. It had a house that was for sale. It was built in the 40s, but it had previously had a house that was built way back 1800 something. So we had a few good things we found there, and in the one in Maquoketa and the one in down in the middle part of Iowa, in Maynard, Iowa. So that's where most of this is from. This some is actually from, I think, my yard, and then also another house here in Rochester that we have permission. That's not very old, but we just been seeing what we could find there when not been busy. So let's start here. The biggest find of 2017, right here. This big thing for some farm implement. This was on my great-grandparents' farm in Iowa, and this was about over a foot, probably almost a foot and a half down in the ground, but it gave a huge, strong signal. Now you know why. It's that it threw off the metal detector enough that it thought it was much closer, better thing, not iron. You know, because it was so massive, it just came up with something really great, which, I mean, it's not really great, but it is interesting, but it's not really great. Then we've got this old, I think, pipe valve hookup release sort of thing, and it says Bustles Perfect on it. It's hard to read. And then it has like a patent dates of like 1890 something or other and 1880 or something like that. So I think this is from the one in Zumbrota. I think that's part of either old house or part of full farm equipment that was there. This was actually from a house in Rochester, big for like a cable, I think, something like that. Then we got a lot of other junk here. This is from Zumbrota. I don't know what this is exactly for. It's kind of interesting that it's got these like little leaf-looking things. I don't know if it's horse tack or something like that. This came from Zumbrota. It's a Dick Tracy cap gun. Seen much better days. I have to tell you, when we flipped this over and got the clod of dirt and I saw the impression of a gun in the dirt before I saw the gun, I was a little freaked out at first, going, oh my gosh, we found a pistol. But then it was just a toy. This is from my yard because I have cable TV line that they regularly access, and that was buried in the ground. This is from Zumbrota, and this is from Rochester, part of a Corvette hood, and then like a Camaro and a little John Deere tractor thing. Same thing with the knife from Zumbrota. This old door lock, Zumbrota. This old, pretty ornate spoon, but it says like Silver Plate Company or something like that. I'm assuming it's fairly old, but it's, you know, not really worth much of anything. Then we got ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic stuff. Look at that. No, it's some sort of charm thing. I don't know exactly from what. Not real old, I doubt. But that was kind of interesting. There's some more buckles, horse tack thing from Zumbrota. This is from my great-grandparents' farm, an old, what's left of a harmonica. Some other miscellaneous bits, light bulb, socket, lots of bottle caps as always, lots of other junk, mason lids, dog bones. When you're digging the other stuff, you find dog bones where they had dogs. And my great-grandparents' farm, they had dogs, and there was a few dog tags we found from the 30s and I think the 50s. I don't have them here. I let my uncle keep them. I'll show them in pictures here. Hopefully when I post this video, I'll edit the video. I'll have some pictures of the dog tags here in the video. And as you can see, they're for Fayette County, Iowa, and they licensed their dogs there, even though they were out in the middle of nowhere on a farm. Basically, they licensed them, and those are kind of cool things. Then just a lot of miscellaneous bolts, nails. These staples came up really good, but that's because they're copper, and they kind of throw you off. There's a really old beer bottle top from probably like the 70s or early 80s before they changed things over. This weird plug here, you can see that it would friction fit. These are the plug ends there, and then the wires were clipped off of that end. A little padlock and the knob from something. This is my great-grandparents' farm. This little toy, like teacups or kitchen place set, you know, for a kid. This was underneath the clothesline at that same spot. This is a little water shaker thing for ironing. You'd stick in the bottle top. I had no idea that's what it was for until my uncle said something. But that's what that's for. Under that same clothesline, we also found, and I'll try and show that right now here in the video, a silver brooch, and it's sterling silver. It says on it. It's got the maker's mark on it, and it was underneath the clothesline. So I'm sure doing laundry, it was dropped and never noticed, and maybe the grass was really tall and got squished and stepped and forced in the ground, and no one ever knew it. Then we've got some old buttons that came from that same house in Maquoketa, where we got the Mercury dime last year. Some old buttons. I'm not sure if this is plated silver or real silver. It's very light. We can get the focus here. Come on. There we go. It's very light. It could be even it's just so light. It almost feels like it's plastic, maybe coated in something. And then a little more ornate little button there. Then we've got all the miscellaneous change and everything. Nothing too exciting here. This is the better stuff here. The rest of this is more modern coins. We've gotten here a few Indian head pennies that are like 1890 something or 1880 something, around in there. And then a bunch of Wheaties. Then this came from the one in Zumbrota. And actually, so did the Indian head pennies came from the Zumbrota farmhouse. These are Yank. Come on, more focus. There you go. Yank Junior buttons, and this is from children's clothing from way back when. And one of the things that apparently they were known for is that when you bought the clothes, you got some sort of like trading card with them that was for notable figures of the time, maybe presidents, something like that. I think it was. But we got a few of those. Those are some interesting little buttons to find, and both of them are, I think, a little bit different in design, maybe. Well, maybe they're the same. I don't remember. All right, so that takes care of most of it. Then we got the most interesting stuff, and this is from that farmhouse in Maquoketa. We had this from last year. Then we've got this nickel from 1943, the Barber dime from 1901, and then this much more modern 1950 quarter, George Washington quarter. So that was pretty good. Also, the other things we found at this same location where we got all this has been a really great location, was a bank token for an old bank in Maquoketa that only lasted maybe, you know, I don't know, less than 10 years, I believe. Went out during the Depression. So it's a token. I'll try and show that right now. That is talking about you get earning compound interest if you keep your money in for a certain amount of time, 6 months or something like that. And I let my mother actually keep that in her collection, along with a little, looks like a little cookie cutter, maybe toy thing for kids, cookie cutter that's a little dog. That was also found. She kept that. And I believe that's pretty much about it. You know, we've got most of it covered here. Oh, this is part of it, like a fishing reel, I believe. What's left of a fishing reel, and you got to see part of a file there. I'm trying to think of the, oh yeah, this Pro Player Sports or something like that, it was called back in the 90s, was a popular brand of like sports jackets for, you know, youth and stuff like that, you know, NBA, NFL teams. And if this was the zipper pull, I had a jacket that had something like that on it. Then we've got this weird, this is plastic that was found in a hole with something on the my great-grandparents' farm. And that says Davis Jones Lamb. I don't know if that's insurance or something else, but I don't know what that would have been for, but it says that on it. And I think that is about, oh yeah, the 16 gauge shotgun thing that says Peter's Targets on it is what it's got on it. Peter's Targets. So that's an old shotgun shell, what's left of it. It's kind of interesting. And I will say, we've been back to this, and I can't find the items right now. Been back here for a dig already to the play location where we got this, and we didn't find any good silver coins or anything this year with there, but we did find some old rifle casings, which was kind of surprising. And we found 2 or 3 of them. One of them, though, as soon as I was trying to get the dirt off it, the casing just crumbled and fell apart. It was that old and brittle, it just fell apart in my hands. It was kind of a disappointing thing to see. But yeah, I think that pretty much, oh yeah, then we had this thing. It's like a lead weight with monofilament sort of line. I don't know if it was really a sinker for fishing, or if this was maybe part of like a cuckoo clock sort of thing or something, you know, a weight for a clock maybe. A quick tally of the change here. There's $4, I believe, and 53 cents face value in the change here. I'll have to compare that to last year. I think it's probably less. Maybe it's more, I don't know. But we've got the older pennies here that might have a little more value to them, even though they've been in the ground. Then we've got the silver coins, of course, which will have much better value. And then we did also have out at that my grandparents' old farm, we did have the Barber quarter and another Mercury dime. So pretty good year for stuff, and pretty good year for silver coins. Let's see, anything else? We had little weird things like that. Covers the knob off a car or something like that, or radio or something. And that's it.